Olay had a strange hobby, collecting clothes, moonshine, washing lines. They suited him fine. Oh, Arnold Lane, it's not the same. Takes two to know, two to know, two to know, two to know. Why can't you see?
Hello there, thrill seekers. That was Arnold Lane. I got a request to do a song by Syd Barrett, and Syd Barrett was one of my big musical influences back when I was trying to be a professional musician, putting out all those records by Dementia 13, which was basically me. Syd Barrett was my thing, my go-to guy, and I have another Syd Barrett song that I've been working on for tomorrow. We'll see if I'm ready to do it tomorrow or not. I've been doing it all weekend to see if I'm ready for it. So today I thought I would talk about what is the purpose of meditation. Now, I know I often quote Kodo Sawaki Roshi, who was Nishijima Roshi's teacher, one of Nishijima Roshi's teachers, who often says Zazen is good for nothing. And when we talk about Zazen, we talk about a goalless practice, a practice that has no point, no end game. But sometimes we have to talk about what's the purpose of meditation? Why do we meditate? And I happen to be looking at one of my favoriteest books in the world. This is I Am That. I like this book so much I bought a different edition of it. This happens to be, I believe, this is the Acorn Press edition. So this is, I think, a British edition of the book, which is slightly different and earlier than or from. I had an English teacher who was very adamant that it was always different from and not different than. And I don't know if she was right. Was Mrs. Feynman right about that, or was she not? I don't know. Anyway, slightly different wording in this book. They changed the wording in the American edition, just some grammatical stuff, which I find kind of fascinating. Anyway, so this is the British edition. I've been reading this one. And interestingly enough, this has a little quote on the front that I'll read to you. It goes, "The real does not die. The unreal never lived. Imagine a big building collapsing. Some rooms are in ruins, some intact. But can you speak of the space as ruined or intact? It is only the structure that suffered, and the people who happened to live in it. Nothing happened to the space itself. Similarly, nothing happens to life when forms break down and names are wiped out. The goldsmith melts down old jewelry to make new. Once you know that death happens to the body and not to you, you just watch your body falling off like a discarded garment. The real you is timeless and beyond birth and death. The body will survive as long as it is needed. It is not important that it should survive long." That's a kind of a real Hindu sentiment coming right out of the Bhagavad Gita, and not something you find in Buddhism very often. It's an interesting little quote. But that has nothing to do with what I want to talk about today, which is a chapter. It's chapter 6 in the book, starts on page 13 of this particular edition, and it's called Meditation. And it gets into the problem, I guess, or the question, why do we meditate? So I'm going to read you some of this chapter. It's very short. It's only 2 pages and change. In fact, it doesn't even cover the whole 2 pages. Here we go. Questioner asks the Maharaj, All teachers advise to meditate. What is the purpose of meditation? That's just one of the little grammatical quirks. I think in the American edition it would be all teachers advise us to meditate or advise their students to meditate. They have this kind of truncated English that appears in this edition. Anyway, just interesting to me. The Maharaj answers, "We know the outer world of sensations and actions, but of our inner world of thoughts and feelings we know very little." We think we know a lot about our inner world of thoughts and feelings, don't we? But actually, we don't know much. "The primary purpose of meditation is to become conscious of and familiar with our inner life." Interesting point. "The ultimate purpose is to reach the source of life and consciousness. Incidentally, practice of meditation affects deeply our character. We are slaves to what we do not know. Of what we know, we are masters. Whatever vice or weakness in ourselves we discover and understand its causes and workings, we overcome it by the very knowing. The unconscious dissolves when brought into the conscious. The dissolution of the unconscious releases energy. The mind feels adequate and becomes quiet." Questioner: "What is the use of a quiet mind?" Maharaj: "When the mind is quiet, we come to know ourselves as the pure witness. We withdraw from the experience and its experiencer and stand apart in pure awareness, which is between and beyond the two. The personality, based on self-identification, on imagining oneself to be something, I am this, I am that, continues, but only as a part of the objective world. Its identification with the witness snaps." The questioner asks, "As I can make out, I live on many levels, and life on each level requires energy. The self, with a capital S, by its very nature delights in everything and its energies flow outwards. Is not the purpose of meditation to dam up the energies on the higher levels or to push them back and up so as to enable the higher levels to prosper also?" That's a very Indian idea of what meditation is for. And the Maharaj answers, "It is not so much the matter of levels as of gunas, which is qualities." And he's going to go into this, and I am not qualified to really give you much about gunas, but he's going to tell you a little bit. Meditation is a sattvic activity. Sattvic is a kind of a pure, the gunas are three. Sattvic is one, and he's going to tell you the other three. Sattvic activity and aims at complete elimination of tamas, which is inertia, and rajas, which is motivity. Rajas is just like sloth and stuff. Pure sattva, which they define as harmony, is perfect freedom from sloth and restlessness. The questioner asks, how to strengthen and purify the sattva? And in the American version it says, how does one strengthen and purify the sattva? Sattva being harmony and what do they call it? Purity. The Maharaj answers, the sattva is pure and strong always. It is like the sun. It may seem obscured by clouds and dust, but only from the point of view of the perceiver. Deal with the causes of obstruction, not with the sun. And I just came across a quote which a Buddhist teacher put up, which describes the alaya vijnana as being always pure and shining like the full moon, and sometimes obscured by clouds. So it's a kind of a similar idea, but with a different terminology applied to it. And the questioner asks, what is the use of sattva? Maharaj answers, what is the use of truth, goodness, harmony, and beauty? They are their own goal. They manifest spontaneously and effortlessly when things are left to themselves, are not interfered with, not shunned or wanted or conceptualized, but just experienced in full awareness. Such awareness itself is sattva. It does not make use of things and people. It fulfills them. Questioner, since I cannot improve sattva, am I to deal with tamas and rajas only? How do I deal with them? Maharaj answers, by watching their influence in you and on you. Be aware of them in operation. Watch their expressions in your thoughts, words, and deeds, and gradually their grip on you will lessen, and the clear light of sattva will emerge. It is neither a difficult nor a protracted process. Earnestness is the only condition of success. The end. One thing I like about this book is the chapters are very, very short, so it's very easy to get through. So that's an interesting idea of what the purpose of meditation is. Because when I first came across meditation, I kind of thought that the goal of meditation was enlightenment. That there was a state of enlightenment which I vaguely conceived as like ultimate withitness, oneness with God, everything was great. Woo! This wonderful experience, sometimes described in books like The Three Pillars of Zen, with the shining light of infinity. I didn't know what it was. I'd had LSD a couple of times before I got into Zen, and I thought maybe it was something like that, only, permanent, and it was bliss, and it was wonderful, and it was great, and it was all the time, and there were no problems, and it was, groovy and whatever. And the purpose of meditation, I thought, was that meditation was going to somehow make this happen. Meditation was something that was going to, maybe prepare the field for this to happen, or it was some kind of an exercise that was going to exercise the enlightenment muscles in my body and make them strong enough for this enlightenment thing to happen, or somehow it was going to push this process forward or make it happen or make enlightenment happen. But what he's saying here, what Nisargadatta Maharaj is saying is, let's get it right, the primary purpose of meditation is to become conscious of and familiar with our inner life, and to understand what's going on in our minds. And I think that's a good point, because one of the great things that meditation has done for me is by constantly sitting there watching my mind do its thing, I kind of see it happen. And a lot of people will ask, when you hear various different descriptions of what meditation is like, well, they'll say, well, isn't running the same thing as meditation, or isn't playing an instrument the same thing as meditation, or isn't basketball the same as meditation, or isn't sex my meditation, or, people say different kind of things are their meditation. And I'll say, well, yeah, but Nishijima Roshi would say sitting is a better way to do it, and there's kind of other answers. But I think sitting is a great way to understand your mind, because it's such a boring thing to do. And I always come down to that, and it's one of the things I've said a lot in my whole career doing this, because you're just sitting there, and that's the great thing of just sitting, because there's nothing, running, at least you're running, there's something going on, or playing basketball, you're playing basketball, or playing an instrument, you're playing an instrument, you're doing something, or sex, you're having sex, there's all these things that people try to say, that's my meditation, or cooking is my meditation, but cooking is still cooking. Sitting is really bare bones and boring. And so you got nothing to do but see your mind and yourself and everything in action, and you can just see what's going on, and you can see how much you can see, for example, little stupid things like how much your mood at the moment is influenced by what you ate an hour ago. This is some mundane thing that I started being able to see while sitting. That if I ate a spicy curry an hour ago, then I'm kind of grumpy and cranky because there's gas going on and my stomach hurts and stuff is going on, and it makes me grumpy and cranky. Little things like that accumulate over years of meditation, or, I don't know, that's one example that springs to mind as I'm sitting here doing this video, probably because I just ate some this kind of spicy fake beef jerky, vegan beef jerky stuff I just ate just before doing this video. I had a handful of that stuff. Maybe that's why I'm thinking of it. But you just see these little things come up, or how the fact that you spent, an hour looking at Twitter before you sat down and meditated, how that started influencing your mind, or just the kind of random stuff, or how you chase thoughts around, and how you think, or I think. For years I thought thoughts just bubbled up on their own, and they do to a certain extent. I think that happens. But how much of it is just I always kind of use this metaphor of I feel like I'm poking my brain. I feel like every time my brain gets quiet, I have this kind of habit of, not literally, obviously, but it feels like I sort of go, bring up another thought, bring up another thought. I'm getting bored here. Come on. Come up with something. And I see myself doing that. And if it weren't for sitting still in front of a blank wall for hours and hours and hours, just doing this really boring practice, I would never have noticed that. And noticing that and seeing how my mind works and seeing where it all comes from and knowing the reality of it and not, it makes me less fooled by it. It makes me less blind to the real source of my emotions and feelings, and less fooled by them. Did I just say that? Less likely to be carried away by them. I mean, I do still get carried away by them sometimes, and I still get cranky, and I still have my moments of, whatever, of getting, too caught up in some feeling or whatnot. But it's less likely to happen because I've spent, how many hours, I don't know, just sitting in front of a gosh darn blank wall, doing nothing but trying to sit there and just letting it all go and not paying that much attention to it, not following it along, not trying to make it stop, not trying to make it pure, not trying to have a great experience, not trying to do anything but sit still and looking at this stupid wall and sitting still here and being quiet until the gosh darn little timer on my phone dings. And it's a stupid process, and it might seem ridiculous, but it's been incredibly helpful, and that, I think, is at least one of the purposes of meditation. So there you go. That is maybe not the purpose of meditation, but at least one of the purposes of meditation. So if you liked that little video about the purpose of meditation and you want to drop a little dime in my guitar case, as you might do if you saw me outside. I saw a guy outside of a Target the other day, a Target store, busking with a guitar, and I thought that's a funny place to busk with a guitar. But anyway, if you want to do the equivalent of that, you can go to the URL you are seeing on the screen below, which is hardcorezen.info/donate. That is hardcorezen.info/donate. Your donations are what makes my living happen. That's how I buy my fake vegan beef jerky and all my other stuff, and how I feed Ziggy. I got to go buy him some dog food later on today because he's running out. And I fed kids coming to my door yesterday for Halloween. That's how I buy Halloween candy and everything else. So I really appreciate your support, and it is my main means of support is your donations. But as always, this is offered for free, so you don't got to donate if you don't want to donate. We will see you later. Have a good time all the time. Bye. How'd you like that Syd Barrett song? Did you like it? Do you like your sunbeam? Getting hot out here in the sunbeam? Of course you're sitting in the direct sunbeam. Of course. Alright, I'm going to go in and edit the video. If you want to come in with me, you can.